So a question I get a lot actually is how I get the shadows on the faces of my avatars to look so good when they're relatively low poly. And the answer, in short, is that I manually customize the normals of my face to change how the shadows look. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this tutorial. So first, I'm going to show you what the face normals would look like by default by turning it to calculate, and this is going to change how they're considered based on the way that the normals are actually facing. And you'll see right away that there's some issues here. There's really sharp edges on these shadows, and there's some shadows that just don't really make any sense, and it's all because of the normals on the face. And a lot of people, especially people that tend to use more anime styled models, they see this on their face because anime styled models maybe don't have the best topology sometimes, and they just assume, oh, the lighting in Unity is shit, it's Unity's fault, when in actuality it's their face normals that could use a bit of touching up. So if I switch back to my custom ones, the difference is pretty immediately noticeable on how much smoother the shadows are on my custom ones. And if we go to Blender, I'll show you how to do it. So basically I have the bust of my head here. I have separated out the actual head mesh from the eyes and hair, which I highly recommend you do, separating the parts you want smoothed from anything that you don't want to touch. And the first step here is I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate the head mesh, and then hit Escape to reset it. With the duplicate selected, I can now hit Control I to select everything but, and then hit H to hide everything except the duplicate head mesh. And with this, we're ready to start editing. So in edit mode, I'm going to hit C to use my circle select, and I'm basically just going to select out the features that I want removed. In this case, and in most cases, that's going to be your mouth and a good bit of your nose here. Not always the whole thing, but always a good bit. So I think this is probably enough right here. Just make sure you have everything on the inside selected here, and then we're going to hit H to hide it. We're also going to need to select the inside of the mouth just to make sure that everything kind of fares down correctly, and we're going to hit Alt H to unhide it. Now I'm going to use an add-on called Mesh Fairing, which I will link in the description. It's a great little add-on for a different kind of mesh smoothing that's a lot more intuitive than the mesh smoothing from this menu or the smoothing from the sculpting mode or any existing smoothing method. And I'll show you exactly what that looks like here. So with these vertices on the face selected, I'm going to go to Vertex, Fair Vertices, keep it on tangency, and check Triangulate, hit OK, and that's basically going to do all the work for us. You'll see it has basically smoothed down the features that we wanted removed without damaging anything else, without damaging the eyes or the cheeks or anything, and it has just created this nice smooth kind of mask shape here. And we don't even really need the inside of the mouth anymore. That was just to make sure that everything kind of joined together properly, because sometimes if you don't do that, you can get holes where you don't want them. In my case right here, I got pretty much exactly what I wanted on the first try, but depending on how your face mesh is, especially if it's a little worse than mine is, you may need to manually smooth down some artifacts or some weird normals here or there, but for the most part, this is going to do the job for you. We're now ready to move on to the next step, now that we've got this kind of mask with no nose and no mouth completely sealed, and we're going to hide our duplicate mesh, unhide our normal mesh, and select it. And we're going to add a modifier here in the Modifiers tab. We're going to go for Data Transfer, and in the Source Objects property, we're going to click on our duplicate mesh here so that it's what we're copying from. Going to click on Face Corners and Custom Normals. You'll notice with the default settings here, there are some issues around the lips and some ugly little artifacts here. And really that depends on the mesh you're using. In my case, using the default settings was not the right answer. Most of the time you're going to use nearest corner and best matching normal, or nearest corner and best matching face normal. That's like 80% of the time, and the other 20 you're going to use nearest face interpolated, and you just have to kind of play around with these settings to figure out which one. So if I select this, you'll see those are all cleared up and it's a nice smooth face, or it looks like it. I'm going to confirm everything looks good. I have the geometry of the face intact, but the normal direction of that mask we created to get this nice smooth look. I'm going to apply this modifier so that it, well, applies it to the actual mesh itself, and we're pretty much good to go. If I unhide everything, I can delete the duplicate mesh, and this is ready for export. I can join all of my meshes together again before the export if I need to, and select the inside of the mouth and remake the normals in there if those get ruined, but the face itself is totally good to go. In fact, this exact process was used to get these normals down to a T. So if you have any questions about this, leave a comment below or message me on Discord. This isn't a fast and dirty one-click solution. Depending on the model you're using, you're going to have to do some modification before the fact or after the fact to get this looking right. But once you do get it looking right, the results definitely speak for themselves. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you next time.